Hi and welcome back to Bike Speeds. So this week we're just going to talk a little bit about setting your bike up for the winter. So this is our little take on sort of a good procedure when it's autumn. We're in November in the UK here now and winter is almost setting in now, so we've gone through the summer. You can see here we've got two sets of tyres. One is a slick tyre, they're both Schwalbe tyres. One is quite smooth, good racing all-rounder tyre, the Laguna. And then next to that we have the Marathon. These have different puncture ratings and they have different thickness of puncture protection within them. The standard Laguna 2 tyre there is a puncture resistance of 3. The Marathon is a green guard and that's a puncture resistance of 5. And it also has the reflective band on the outside of it. So you always want to think about your tyres. Another thing you can do with your tyres is if you run 90-100 psi in your summer tyres and your winter tyres, just lower that pressure maybe to 80-90 psi. It just affords a little bit more grip on the road when things are getting a bit mucky and there's a lot more debris on the roads this time of year. And that would be your tyres sorted out. Next up you want your mud guards. Although we all love to ride without them, equally this time of year you've got to be a little bit sensible, especially if you're a group rider. You don't want that spraying up at everybody, and so you always have to think about fitting mud guards. So with these mud guards that we're fitting here, they're an easily removable mud guard because they have a little velcro pad that sticks to the frame that is really good sticky stuff on that actually. So you can just remove those at the end of the season and go through the summer and just pop them back on when you need them in the winter. Even on the front of this rear mud guard you can see that I'm just fitting a tie wrap, but that's actually a reusable tie wrap. It has a little clip on it to actually release it. So again you can take the mud guard off and reuse it. Then you want to be thinking about your lights. Now the first question I always ask customers is, do you want to be seen or do you want to see? The first two lights here on the left, this one with the LEDs, they're more lights to be seen. They're good value for money battery lights that you just put on the bike and you'll be seen around town. They don't really offer much of a beam. Then you move on to these type of lights, the rechargeable lights. This rear light is a cracking light. It's incredibly bright. It's like a Bunsen burner going off behind you. Then we have the middle of the road light. This is a Sigma light, a 600 lumens light, which we're actually going to fit on this bike. And then if you're really one of those riders that's doing 20-30 mile an hour around back lanes in the dark, you need at least a 2000 lumen light like this one here, and they're really bright. You'll always be able to see where you're going. You'll be able to see potholes and debris in the road. So yeah, there's we stock many different lights, but that's just an example of the type of lights we stock and the questions I ask when a customer comes in terms of determining which lights would best suit their needs. So we just fit those lights again. These are on off really quick, really easy. And now we're going to talk to you about your saddlebag. Often overlooked in the winter, but through the summer months we go through the summer and sometimes forget about our saddlebag. It might get used a bit and you just lose track. So I always have a clear Sealy bag. The most important thing, especially in the winter where you can quite easily slip off a bike, your contact details. Put either a card or a piece of paper in there with maybe your next of kin, your address, your name, your contact telephone numbers to find people who know you if you're not able to be identified for any reason. That is in there to do that. Always put in a £20, £10, £20 note or whatever your currency is, because we know we've got viewers from all around the world now, so put in some currency. Always good for nutrition and things if you're out and about or need to get a taxi or something. You can do that if you've got the money on you. A chain link, I always pack a chain link, and then I'm always proactive in helping other riders, so I actually always pack some valve extenders. You can stack them up like this on top of each other, which when you've got the length of valve from your inner tube, you can go into a really deep section wheel, and you see a rider on the side. Whenever I ride past a rider who I see on the side of the road, I always slow down, and my thing that I always do is I always say, have you got everything you need? Because it's a less intimidating question, and if they haven't got a pump or they haven't got an inner tube, they will say, oh, you ain't got a tube, have you? Or, yeah. And that's your cue to stop and help out. So I always just say, have you got everything you need? And then move on from there. So this little pile on here, if you're tubeless, all you need is one of these, a Dyna plug. So if you get a leak spraying sealant, you can push that into the tyre and your problem has gone away. It eradicates all the need for any of these parts here just by having that on tubeless tyres, and that's one of the advantages of tubeless tyres, is how little you need to carry. So I always carry two tubes. I always carry the longest valve that I can buy. So you can see these are 60mm valve in here. because again, proactive in helping people, that can sometimes help out without you losing a valve extender, even though they're too long for this bike that we're setting this up for. It's proactive. A good set of plastic tyre levers, you can actually get these now with the metal inside them so that they don't damage the wheel and they're quite strong. So a good set of tyre levers, and then some form of inflation, be it a pump on your water bottle, or in this case we've got a CO2 dispenser and the CO2 bottles with the little rubber collar to stop your hands getting freezing cold when you deploy it, because they go freezing cold instantly. So you hold that rubber and it stops it sticking to your hand. And I always carry 2 of those. You've got 2 inner tubes, so it makes sense to carry 2 of those. And then also you want to think about your multi-tool. Multi-tool is very, very important to carry on a bike, but I always recommend one with a chain splitter like this, because if you buckle a chain or it breaks, you'll still need to remove a link end or maybe a link or 2 before you put your spare link on. So you must have a way of doing that. So that's everything you really need that will get you home in most emergency situations. We've also got a video on a custom made saddle bag where we actually can make a bag specific to what you're carrying, which make them very, very small. So we have got a video to that which we'll put a link to. And then the other thing we've talked about on our channel before, we've also got a video on this, is the Apple AirTags for finding your bike if in the event it's stolen. This time of year it's very dark, it's very easy to have bikes whipped away, especially if you're leaving them anywhere. So we have got sent this Woo AirTag holder container, for want of a better word, that sits under your bottle cage. It comes with these special bolts that have got a nipple in the centre of them that this special tool has. So although these are available, very few standard sets of Allen keys and star keys like this have that lug in the centre. So you have to have the right one to undo them. So they're quite a secure way of mounting an AirTag on a bike. So that's what we're going to do here. So we use some copper slip on there bolts just to stop them sticking to the fittings in our frame. It's sort of future proof if you do take them off. And then we screw that in under the bottle cage. Your average idiot who steals a bike doesn't recognise that's on there, and you can maybe get your bike back. So this is our bike set up for winter. Thanks for watching.